On staying in London, what's the latest with Chelsea? A few of their fans at the Club World Cup ended a week ago. They haven't really moved on too much. There has been a link to Hato, the centre back. Is there any new business expected there that's sort of not being sort of discussed at the minute, that we're not really seeing out there on social media?
For Chelsea, was this?
Chelsea, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think with Chelsea, the next desire will be to focus on those outgoings. Is it going to be Nkunku and Jackson, or just one of them? And then all these other players, Raheem Sterling in particular, and Joao Felix, because they're on big wages. And then obviously a string of others, including, for example, Axel Disasi, Ben Chilwell, Amanda Broja, Alfie Gilchrist, who I broke earlier, has firm interest from the Championship, which I think is where he'll end up. But there has been a Saudi inquiry for him as well, because he fits the kind of profile that several clubs are looking for. And then a defensive reinforcement is possible. I still sense that defender that comes in will have to be able to play left back, because Renato Vega was supposed to be the Swiss Army knife. And Chelsea really like him because he can play left back, centre back, or defensive midfield. But Vega, with a view to the World Cup, wants to be playing centre back every single week. And I think the fact he didn't go to the Club World Cup probably suggests a parting of ways. It will be amicable, because Chelsea would keep Vega if he's prepared to follow their pathway. But the player's thinking more about, I need to specialise as a centre-back and play every week, because that's the best chance of being on the plane to America, Canada and Mexico. So Jorel Hato is one name. Chelsea have held some fresh talks. We know that they've looked at Mark Gay as well, but I don't expect them to move if the price stays at 45 or 50 million. And the same can be said for Liverpool. There's some overlap in targets. I think Liverpool like Hato. They're also looking at Gay as well, but it will all depend on price with both. Ajax wants 60 million at the moment for Hato. Clubs that are interested value him more at 35 to 40 million. And again, with Gay, I think that those that may proceed might be looking at the 35 or 40 million mark, because he's only got a year left of his contract. If Palace insist on 45 or 50 million, a deal might not get done. But the Gay price could drop, because Crystal Palace actually, like I said earlier, would be willing to sell, simply because they don't want to lose him on a free transfer, and they know that Gay won't sign a new deal. But there'll be less of a player agitation, because game time in a World Cup year is really important to Gahey. And I think that he's quite prepared to stay at Crystal Palace, see out his contract, play every week, and give himself the best possible chance of being selected by Thomas Tuchel. And that's kind of where we're at with Chelsea. Of course, they could look at the goalkeeper situation, but Rob Sanchez was goalkeeper of the tournament at the Club World Cup. Few people in the chat asking about Mike Maignan. They've not revisited it again yet. It's a long window, but there was that golf evaluation. And for now, those talks have ended, at least. And then whether or not Chelsea add another goalkeeper may depend on if they feel that they've got enough cover, because Bettinelli went to Man City, Petrovic has gone to Bournemouth, Mike Penders is likely to be loaned to Strasbourg. So it leaves them again with Rob Sanchez and Philip Jorgensen. And maybe they will decide come the end of the window, or obviously during it, but before the end of the window, they need one more. But at the moment, it's not like an active or urgent topic of conversation. They're much more focused on outgoings. And then, as we alluded to before, they could still add another attacker.
Absolutely. Chelsea fans, give us your thoughts, give us your opinions in the comments section below. We are going to come to your super chats in a bit, people. We haven't forgotten about them, or your member chats. They will come up on the show. In relation to Liverpool, crazy week, exciting week. What's going on when it comes to Ekitike, to Liverpool, the Isak situation? Give us your understanding. I know you're very close to this. I know that's why you've been on your phone during the show as well. I know you've been checking on some bits and pieces. Give us the latest, please, Ben.
Yeah, so the Hugo Ekitike situation is that the talks are advanced, and the deal is likely to cost in excess of 80 million euros. Liverpool are optimistic, but Frankfurt are meticulous negotiators. I got the sense yesterday that these advanced talks may drag on to the weekend, so we're not quite there yet. But Ekitike has agreed a 6-year deal, and a breakthrough could obviously come any minute at any time. But certainly as of yesterday, when I last made checks in the evening, the feeling was that maybe it would take a few more days and it would run on into the weekend. It's all very positive. Liverpool have got a good relationship with Frankfurt, but they are quite meticulous negotiators. And I think we're going to get to the point soon where there is an agreement in principle on the fee part, and then you've got to work out the structure and the add-ons, and is there a sell-on clause, etc. So all of these things take a little bit of time. and I'll update hopefully later today on the progress and whether Liverpool are going to get him in time to get on the plane for their pre-season. Doesn't really matter because people kind of make out like these deals are rushed so a player can travel. And I suppose that is the case with Brian and Bumo, because yesterday Manchester United knew if they could get it done this weekend, he could be formalised by Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then on the plane with them. But let's say they go on the plane and it gets done a day later, then we live in a modern world where the player can get on his own plane and fly out and be with them 24, 48 hours later. So it's never a hard deadline. But at the moment, it's a little bit of a race against time to see if they can come to an agreement in time to get him out to Asia. And again, the last update that I had was it was all very positive, but it might drag on to the weekend.
Yeah. There's a few theories amongst us football fans, Benjamin. And that is that the Isak deal could still rear a sting. There could still be a Liverpool situation there. And I don't want it to happen. Newcastle fans think I'm a brown envelope here. They think I'm taking payment from Liverpool to push this. Is that plausible still, or should it be considered done?
Well, I think Hugo Ekitike was a target, as I reported, right at the beginning of the window. He scored very high in the data. There was Isak, there was João Pedro, there was Hugo Ekitike. And those were always the three names that I heard for Liverpool. And the fact that Ekitike is now being advanced is an indication that he was approached even before Isak. But as I also reported, and it was slammed at the time, as you would expect, because it's a very emotional topic, and full respect, by the way, and love for Newcastle fans who I always engage with and go on a number of their podcasts. But they were always going to try as well for Alexander Isak. And what happened? They tried for Alexander Isak. So Newcastle's position is not for sale. The fact they've walked away from Ekitike and don't have a striker will only harden that position as of now. If they'd have got Ekitike, then was there a window of opportunity for Isak? Potentially. But either way, this is just standard Liverpool behaviour, trying for Isak to understand the situation, to make it clear they're prepared to bid, and having Hugo Ekitike. And it will be billed as a power play. It will be billed as we're either going to take Isak off you or we're going to hijack your deal for Ekitike. But I don't think that's the reality. I think Ekitike was always there. And Isak, by the way, remains a Liverpool target. So are they going to sign Ekitike and Isak? Well, that would be crazy. Are Newcastle going to change their perspective now they haven't got a striker in? No, not at this point. Could Isak sign a new deal? Yes. If he doesn't sign a new deal and Newcastle in a really strong position, absolutely, because he's contracted until 2028 and he's well paid. But will there come a point in time when Isak is available on the market in future windows or at another time? Yeah, absolutely. And I think Liverpool know that, and they may return at some point. But for now, the focus is genuine on Ekitike. This is not a ruse to line it up, to get it ready to be signed, and then go back again to Newcastle and go, we're formalising this tomorrow unless you sell us Isak. But if there comes a point where Isak's available, he's still the number one target for Liverpool, whether that's today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, whenever a window is open. So this was very genuine from Liverpool. They had to understand the Isak situation and they had to move quickly on Ekitike because Newcastle were also genuine and were there. I think people think it's a game, but Liverpool don't get sucked into this noise. And actually, despite suggestions that PIF in particular and Yasser Al-Rumi and the Newcastle chair were irked and annoyed by the approach, that's not my understanding. Richard Hughes and Eddie Howe have a fantastic relationship and are in contact regularly, and they know each other obviously from their time at Bournemouth. In addition to that, PIF are not annoyed by somebody making a respectful inquiry or even a bid, because that's football. And if they want to turn it away, they turn it away very quickly and they reiterate their stance that the player's not for sale. So this narrative out there that PIF are annoyed because somebody dared to bid for one of the best strikers in the world, even though they can just turn it down and say, go away. And alternatively, this suggestion that somehow Liverpool only went for Ekitike to get one over Newcastle either way. It's nonsense. Ekitike's always been there. Isak's always been a dream target. They're obviously going to get one of them. It's looking likely that that's Ekitike. So add all of that up, and it's just Liverpool sticking to their strategy, sticking to their plan, which was twofold. Number one, try for Isak. Number two, advance Ekitike. Number three, decide which one is feasible. Number four, get the deal done quickly. And this is Liverpool all over. They've had a fantastic window, and they're going to get one of their top targets. And it looks like that will be Hugo Ekitike. Just also a bit of breaking news for you as well, away from that topic. My understanding is that Spurs have entered the race along with PSG for Ilya Zabani, which is a very interesting development. We know that Tottenham are looking to strengthen with a defender, even though Christian Romero is expected to stay now and might get a new deal. But this is just a breaking development that I've got wind of. And the other thing that has done the rounds from various sources is that Al Hilal might even be prepared to entertain an audacious bid for Alexander Isak. I'll have more on that throughout the day. I don't think Isak would go to Saudi personally. It presents a very interesting negotiation because if, as wrongly alleged, Yasser Al-Rumayyan is irked by Liverpool making an inquiry, then what on earth is he going to do if his very own PIF make an inquiry for a Newcastle United player? But that one, anyway, has done a little bit of the rounds from sources. And I think it's concrete in the sense that Al Hilal want to be ambitious. They tried for Benjamin Sesko. They attempted to sign Victor Osimhen. But I'd be surprised if Isak wants to go outside of Europe again in a World Cup year. But don't be surprised in the coming hours if we hear Zbani and Spurs and even some kind of development on Isak and Al Hilal, even though at the moment I'm led to believe that that's not something Newcastle want to sanction. And it's also not a kind of move at this stage in his career that Alexander Isak will want to
go for.
And the other bit of news I've got through colleague Tom Bogart is that Leicester City are set to make a bid for Josh Windass.
Oh, big up. I met Josh's dad in a lift. Great guy, Dino. He really is. I swear he's his dad, right? And when I say that, they are related. Speaking of relations, I was watching the ladies, Sweden versus England last night, and then she came on, Rebecca Blomqvist. I was like, oh, that must be Jasper's daughter, and it was. I like it when you get these names from my childhood come up. It's always very, very nice indeed. But yeah, the whole thing about the Saudis being angry that people are bidding for their players. I know they're very rich, and they're richer than everybody else's owners. People don't realize that these billionaires, it doesn't matter if they're from the Middle East, America, Australia, or Mars, they all rub shoulders at so many. Like, there's not a lot of them, right? They're all quite close in some way. They all kind of know each other. This idea they're all going to start warring over this, I don't think people realize they don't treat it like us fans do. They don't see it like we do. It's kind of crazy. We have a few super chats here that I just want to share. First one says that did Šeško say he wants United? I read this somewhere yesterday.
No, I'm not aware of Šeško picking a preference. I mean, he followed Arsenal, and 2 weeks ago he wanted Arsenal. So I don't think he's out there saying, this is my preferred club. I just think he's interested in a move to the Premier League. We'll have to wait and see if it develops. I wouldn't overblow the Manchester United and Šeško links yet, partly because of the price and partly because of the fact that Manchester United have waited until after Mbeumo to focus on their number 9.
This is a question also from Adele that says, does Ben think we will postpone the rest of our business to January? This question stems from, is a fan theory in the Man United fan base that this is it. This is us now. There'll be very little more business done for the rest of the summer. Outgoings, ingoings, it will just pretty much be, this is going to be the squad. Is that what you're hearing?
For Manchester United?
Yeah, fans believe this. This is something that's being pushed by some of the biggest Man United fans on the planet.
Well, I think they're going to bring in a number 9. They're going to bring in a goalkeeper of some sorts. They might bring in a fullback. They started talks along with Milan for Pervis Estupiñán. They might do a budget midfielder. As I've mentioned before, Wilfred Ndidi's been discussed as a squad player. Frank Onyeka as well, who might be free to leave Brentford even after Christian Norgard. And then if you look at the volume of outgoings, they're going to be busier than most, you would think. So they've got to resolve Anthony and Sancho, and obviously Rashford and Garnacho too. So my expectation is that Manchester United will be working right up until the final minutes of the market. And I don't think they'll be stopping at just these 2 players. There will be more incomings as far as I'm aware.
Another comment here says, Lunin available for 17 million.
Yeah, Lunin could be available in the market. It's a relatively high price for a goalkeeper if he's not coming in as a number one. And I think he would also want to be starting. So I come back to what I said before. I know it sounds a bit like a broken record, but to reiterate again, original plan, find a number two and someone comfortable with being a number two and waiting a little bit. If they don't inform Onana he's surplus to requirements, then a lot of these number ones or close to number one type goalkeepers, whether that's Lunin, whether that's James Trafford in the past before he went to Bournemouth, Jordi Petrovic, Ilham Melia a year ago, but they went off the boil because he didn't have a good season with Leeds last campaign and he was dropped in the Championship. But all of these names want minutes. So they've got to find a young profile that will be patient and will know that he's the number two to Onana, or they've got to pivot and tell Onana he's surplus to requirements and then move for a number one. And at the moment, they haven't communicated that to Onana, which means a lot of these links with box office or number one seeking goalkeepers are premature and something first has to give with Onana.
There we go.